yeah, there's plenty of stuff out there to get online degrees and all that stuff, and most of the people that are in school and in the cyber range now will attest to this. Like they've been following you and your videos for a long time, and you're an extremely approachable guy, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know, you're just like the guy next door, you know what I mean? And you don't make a whole spectacle out of yourself being a YouTuber or an influencer, and you just do the work. I see how active you are on LinkedIn and on YouTube and putting stuff out there, and it's a variety of things. And I think it's contagious. Hard work is contagious, and when they see you become successful, and then they're like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he's telling me I can do this. All right, I'm gonna give it a shot."
This interview is a special one. It's with a guy named Simon. He basically went from being a police officer to a truck driver and then directly into cybersecurity without doing any IT first. He's a really good person to emulate if you're interested in getting to cybersecurity. The way he does everything and his execution and work ethic and everything, it's really, really on point, and it's what I like to see from people who are trying to break into the field. So definitely watch the interview. He's really smart and executes really well, and he's done a lot, and I think it will help a lot of people. But yeah, onto the interview. So hey everybody, Josh Madakor here. I'm a cybersecurity YouTuber, and I own and operate the Cyber Range, and we have Simon here who is a member of the Cyber Range, and they actually went through it and executed really well, and then changed careers and got a nice job into cybersecurity, and they agreed to come and talk to us today. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Yes. So if you don't mind, can you do maybe a brief introduction of yourself and maybe talk a bit about what you're doing before you decided to get into cybersecurity?
Yeah, I was a cop for about 12 years until 2021. Decided to go a different route, wanted to make more money faster, and I was thinking that I can do that driving trucks. I had a buddy of mine who was driving trucks, and I was like, oh man, I can do better than this. So started driving trucks for a bit. Then the economy just was bad, and it was just hard, and the cost of operation was just way beyond what I ever imagined. So 2 years in, I was like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Like I've had so many different careers in the past, and it's been great, and I loved so many things of it. But I'm just a nerd at heart. I'm a jock, but I'm a nerd jock. So I always wanted to mess around with computers, and I said it in the live before. It was like 20 some years ago. I got some Microsoft certifications, and just still regretted not getting back into it. So I was like, all right, let me get back into IT and all that stuff. And then when I did a little bit of research, it's like, okay, IT is good, cybersecurity is fun, like in my opinion of it, right? And I had a little bit of an idea of I never served in the military. I'm an immigrant, honestly, originally. I moved here in '95, '7, somewhere around there. Immigrated, became a citizen, all that stuff, and I'm very appreciative of what this country has provided for me to live here. I want to give back, and I was like, I never served in the military, but if I can provide some defense mechanisms against threat actors or whatever, in my head it all makes sense. I can do computers, and I can do a little bit of repaying. So I looked online, and Google was just coming up with their certificate. And I did it through Coursera. It was cheap. It was like $30 a month or something like that. Knocked it out real quick, and I was still driving trucks. So I was driving trucks, and at night I'd park the truck and get on my laptop and just go through the Google thing. And I was like, this is just great. I love it. Did Google cert, got the cert. Somebody emailed me, says, hey, ICS Squared is doing the CC for free, like a million free certs or whatever. Hooked up with that, studied for that, did that. Then I did a ABETS course, the GRC course.
Oh,
And
Unix guy.
then, huh?
Unix guy, yeah.
Yeah. It was also a lot of theory and a lot of fun. And but then I saw your master class, and that was just like the natural progression for me. It's like, okay, that's what I want to do. Now I get real SOC experience. So I did your master class, and then you were talking about, oh, I'm going to start this new thing. I'm going to do the range and all that stuff. And the masterclass was cool because it did allow me to put those projects on my resume. But my resume still was just like, I had zero experience. So it was just like a summary at the top, my projects, my certs, my skills, And that was really it. And I was just like praying, like, okay, hopefully that's enough. People say, oh, you don't need experience, you just need some projects. So
Hmm.
I'm just doing these projects. And I got one call maybe out of the first 30 apps, but I knew it wasn't, it wasn't enough. And then you put the cyber range together. And I initially it was weird because I thought you were going to make it like $400 a month or something like that. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't do that. I can't make that happen. And then I saw on LinkedIn and he said $97. So like, all right, I'm going to turn off my Netflix. I'm going to turn off my Coursera, and I turned off something else, and I saved like $80 a month. I was like, all right, I can come up with 17.
Oh, nice.
So I hooked up with your cyber course, the cyber range, and again, I've told you this many times. As soon as I got a little bit more knowledgeable doing the project, I just put it on my resume, and
Hmm.
then I started getting calls right away. It was like it literally. I put on their intern, but people don't even read that far. They're like, "Oh, you work for Logan Pacific. Oh, you've been there since, like September, because that's when I started your master class. So I started using that,
Yeah.
and that's you know the second the no yeah the second person that called me got me into the second and third interview, and they offered me a job, and I'll be on the
Damn.
payroll tomorrow.
Oh, you're starting tomorrow. That's dope.
Yeah, I'll
Cool.
be on
So,
the payroll tomorrow. They screwed some stuff up as far as my credentials and stuff like that. So,
okay.
so it'll be a few more days so I'm actually doing the job or whatever. But like tomorrow, tomorrow I'll be on the payroll.
Gotcha. And do you remember like how many jobs, like how many things did you apply to before you got like the interview where you eventually ended up getting hired?
So I started applying first week of December. Um, really tried putting like several applications out there a day. Some days you just really motivated, you do 10, and then you have like 3 days you do zero. In between beginning of December and maybe like 2 weeks ago, I put 67 applications out, which is not a whole lot, but
Yeah.
there was like a 3 week period where I was like just deep diving into your vulnerability management, where I was like, all right, let me just work on this because putting applications in is time consuming too.
Yeah, it
And
is.
I was trying to segment my day and like, okay, I'm doing a couple hours of this, couple hours of that, couple hours of this. And I just said, okay, let me just get the vulnerability management taken care of. I'm just going to put that and the threat hunting then on my resume. At least I can talk about the top part.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool. And I want to say like backtrack a bit for anyone watching this. Like you did go through the cyber range, but you're the type of person who like regardless if the cyber range exists or not, you will find success eventually because you were studying Google cybersecurity like while you were driving truck like
Yeah.
during your shift. Like that's the kind of thing that makes people be successful. Like you can have like any half-baked plan, but if you
Mm-hmm.
execute them like really well, like eventually you'll find success. And I want people to like see these kind of interviews and see what other people are doing, like what they have to do in order to get some kind of success. So I just want to like commend you on that.
Yeah.
It's commendable. So like good work.
Yeah. I always tell my kids this too, is like imagine where you want to be and do everything to get there. You know what I mean? Like looking back, imagine where you want to be, then put yourself there, looking back at where you're at now and what would you wish that you would be doing. And that's just
Uh,
like do 100%. So I made it my full-time job. So in June I stopped trucking, sold my trailers, sold one truck. The other truck is being leased out, so that still is a small income for me. And spent some time with my family. Took a couple weeks off. Spent some time with my family because I was on the road for
nice.
2 years,
Mm.
for like 6 weeks and 8 weeks at a time. And and then in um, August to July off. In August, I took Abed's course. Then September, I started your course, and it was my full time job, 8 hours a day. Like I was in this room, I got my monitors, I got my whole setup, and I told my wife and kids, like, pretend this is my remote job. You can't just be knocking on the door all the time. So I was going through Try Hack Me. I was doing your cybersecurity course or your masterclass course, and just soaking it up, soaking it up, soaking it up. got my LinkedIn together, followed your advice on how to build a LinkedIn, how to build a GitHub portfolio, which was a struggle. I was like, oh my God, I don't understand. I don't understand any of this. I come from zero, you know. So and yeah, just looking at your lab little printouts and stuff like that, and looking at your GitHub, meeting some other people on LinkedIn, checking their GitHubs out, getting an idea, and just start building it up and go from there.
So you mentioned you kind of got some IT certifications like way back, but did you ever actually work in IT, or did you go from straight like trucking into
So
cyber?
in 2000, I think it was, I got the MCP, MCSA, MCZ,
Okay, okay.
Microsoft Certified something administrator or engineer, whatever.
Yeah.
And my boss at the time knew I was taking night classes. I spent like 25 grand on this too. I'm so pissed. Uh, and then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna promote you and basically get a 100% pay raise." I'm like, "Are you serious?" So I nixed it. I was like, I went from I like he offered me over $100,000. I was like, I can't start at the bottom of IT if somebody's offering me that kind of money. So
Yeah, for
and I
sure.
did that for a long time, which was construction. I was in construction. I was in sales. I was really good, and I was just a hard worker, and I was making $100,000 just doing construction and sales. Then I started my own business in mold remediation. Then I sold that company. Then I was like, what do I want to do? I was like, oh my God. I became a cop. Wanted to be a cop for a long time. Let's give that let's give that a spin. And like 12 years in, I was like, I had enough of this. Like,
You probably
so
have a lot of stories.
yeah, I do. And the funny thing is, people were like, why don't you write a book about it? It's like, well, nobody would buy it because nobody would believe the stories that I have.
Oh, damn.
But and then policing, trucking, and now we're here, man.
Man, that's a lot of that's dope. It's going to be inspiration for a lot of people because like that traditional path from like IT and then pivot into cybersecurity, but to
It
go
was it
from
was tough though. It was scary because all I'm hearing is like there's no jobs and oh there's so many jobs, there's impossible to get in. And I know you're like building me up and giving me credit and stuff like that, but I'm telling you, I would not have a job unless you wouldn't have put together what you put together. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm such honestly though, like my resume, it was like a hope and a prayer that I would get a call back. And once I put on there that I worked at a company that, whether it's internship or not, that does vulnerability management and does the threat hunting, and I just brushed up on it enough that when they asked me a question, and like I got my notebook here, and as I was in the interview, I'm just it's like I hope you don't mind. It's like just looking at my notebook, and I'm just giving them all the information about all the frameworks and all different things, and but being able to put that on my resume was instant legitimacy. I was like,
yeah.
okay, he's somebody said he can do this, and now I want to talk to him, and he's telling me he can do this, and uh, that's how this worked.
Yeah, and you can work out.
Yeah.
And then, do you remember? You don't have to get like super specific, but during your interview, do you remember like what kind of stuff they asked you? Was it like mostly technical, or did they mix in some soft skill stuff as well?
So, as a matter of fact, I'll just go to the one of the posts that I put on the cyber range for that about me getting that job because I put all the questions in there, or at least the ones that I could remember.
Oh, okay.
Um, I can't see it here for now this second, but like I said on the live, they just went down my resume, so I had my own resume in front of me, and then they're like, "Oh, you're doing this. What does that mean?" I was like, "Oh, you remediated this vulnerability. How did that work?" And then they started asking like, "What's an IOC?" and what is a cryptographic key, and just some technical stuff. But all of it was just generally covered either by the information in the Google search or just whatever the introduction you have in the school classroom or your introduction classes that you have the cybersecurity theory, it's all in there. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and I did get lucky, I have to be honest, because during my final interview, the guy that was making the call on hiring me, he got called away for some sort of emergency
Hmm.
right after he had asked me a question that I didn't get the chance to answer.
Oh,
So then
really?
they rescheduled the interview from Friday to Monday. And so I just like went deep dive into that last question he asked me. And then when we had the next interview, he's like, "So where did we leave off?" And I was like, "Well, you asked me about a fishing incident." And he's like, "Okay, well, let's take it from there." And then I had a whole laundry list of things that I was just going down, 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 down. He's like, "Oh man, you really prepared for this interview." So I got a little lucky. I got a little lucky on that.
That's nice. Cool. It sounds like it went really decently. Did you just have like a single interview, or was like a loop with like many like hiring managers in the team, or
So
how would that go?
started with the recruiter. The second one was with the HR guy, and then the third interview was with the HR guy, then the director of operations, and the head of the SOC. And it then turned out just two of the three showed the head of the SOC and the HR guy. Yeah, so three interviews, and then the last interview was with the two of those two guys.
Gotcha. Cool. Cool. So like in terms of, I'll ask you kind of two questions. The first one's like related to the cyber range. So like for if anyone for if somebody's like watching this and thinking of joining the cyber range, what's like one thing that really helped you a lot that you would recommend them to like really pay attention to or really take advantage of if they're like inside the cyber range that helped you?
You have a couple of these Google Sheets that you put together. You know what I mean about how to get to S tier on everything. Now, and I was actually using your old one from the master class, and I've seen yours now. It's a lot upgraded, a lot more in depth. But it just kept me on track. I was like, all right, first of all, my appearance is my appearance. Do I look like somebody who wants to hire me? Like can I speak without easily? Um, do I have some certifications? Do I have some background? Do I have some history? So I was definitely like, am I putting in enough applications? Am I spending enough time a day? Am I spending enough time a week? And I was just making sure that I was always maxing that out. So yeah, to really make a long story short, it bridges the gap between having nothing to having a lot of experience, but a lot more than just like, oh, here's some theory, and if you know it, now you bridge the gap. You tell us how to make the resume step by step. You tell us really the schedule of what you should do on a daily basis and a weekly basis to just get there. Um, and everything. And I keep telling people, they're like, hey, should I jump here or do it this first in the cyber range? It's like, just start at the beginning, take one step at a time, and you're gonna get there. And it's hard to explain because there's more in it than people realize. You know what I mean? You really wrote it together, you put it together for people that don't like to follow instructions. It's like idiot proof. That's what I would call it. Idiot proof. Just go through the steps and you'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I tried to like number the courses and stuff because I noticed like people will join and before doing anything, they'll like DM me and be like, can I have credentials till Attainable? And I'm like, just go, you'll get them
I
like
know.
eventually. Just like go through
Yeah.
the
Well, it's great. People are excited. People just want to dive in,
yeah,
but like you don't want them to burn out either because it does get technical. It does get, you have to really pay attention to what you're doing and you have to set time aside for it, especially in the vulnerability management. It's like sometimes you got to run these scans and they take 40 minutes,
yeah,
and then so while that was running, I was on try hack me doing a room, and then we go back and then okay,
yeah,
done, run the next scan. All right, another 40 minutes. All right, let me just listen to some Professor Messer, listen to a podcast, listen to the Cyberwire, listen to Darknet Diaries.
mm,
I just put all the time in that I had available to do it, and just saturate myself because I realized that I can't pick up all the details. I can't just have like a checklist of things and memorize it and now I know it. Like
yeah,
the domain is so broad, you kind of just have to submerge yourself in it, and then things over time they finally start to like blend and click, and
Yes.
you get
Yeah.
more of an idea of the whole thing. It was pretty overwhelming. It was scary for a while. Like I'm never gonna get this. It's too much. Like like when they said when I said, "Hey, I'm going into cyber," they're like, "Oh, which of the eight domains of cybersecurity are you interested in?" I'm like, "What? What are you talking about?" Like I have to pick one. I was like, "Oh no!" So it's overwhelming, but it's really not. You just got to give it some time.
Yeah, I know exactly like what you're saying, that feeling. I have that feeling like every time I build something. Like even when I was building the cyber engine, I was like, screw this. It's too much. Many times I was like, I want to
Can't do
quit
it.
doing it. Yeah, but eventually like you'll get there like eventually, right? Just like you like eventually stuff starts clicking and then it starts becoming usable knowledge and then
Yeah.
yeah. Cool. So, and then one final question, just for anyone watching, not related to like me or Cyber or anything. Like, what's some advice you might give somebody who wants to change their career as somebody who just got done doing that?
It's more like, listen, I don't really have an advice like this is going to be like the golden egg for you to make it happen. All I can say is like I did it. You know what I mean? I'm kind of just like the living proof. Like I shouldn't be here, but I am, and all I did was just follow the trajectory, follow the course the way you put it together, and it works. You know what I mean? So um, and like anybody that reaches out to me on school, I tell them like I did the Google cert. It's a great foundation, and and then you just look around. I did an AWS cert. I don't I don't like that cloud platform at all, but
Yeah.
I just did it just enough so I can get a cert. So if somebody needs me to know something about it, I can say, yeah, I'll brush up on that. That's fine. But and there's a couple of people that I talk to that are pivoting, and I just try to motivate them and say, listen, just do it. I know. I wish I had something profound to say, you know what I mean? But I think you can get in your own head, and there's days that you don't want to do it. Like you said, screw this, right? It's never going to happen. And I thought that plenty of times. I thought that plenty of times.
Yeah.
So I was like, but then I also said, listen, this is all I have. This is all I want. This is all I got to do. So I'm gonna make it happen. And like I got this job offered now, but that's way ahead of schedule too. I think people need patience more than anything too. Like I gave myself a year. I wasn't even going to apply until like a year into studying, and then you mentioned it or Abed mentioned like, no, just start applying, and like start building your resume as you go, because the, recruiters are not going to call you until a month from now anyway. Now you have a month
Yeah.
extra knowledge
Yeah.
that you gave up on by not applying. And then I was fully aware of the fact that I might have to put in several hundred applications, and but I was willing to do it, and that was my mindset. It was like, okay, I'll put 300 applications in by June, and then so me putting 70 in and getting two calls, I wasn't phased by that. I was like, okay, that's cool. I got two calls. I was pretty happy with that. And
Yeah.
like my first interview was horrible. It was a super super nice lady, but I was just talking and talking and talking. I was nervous and sweating. It was just a phone call. It wasn't even a video call. And then I got an email back. It's like, yeah, well, we really appreciated talking to you, but we've decided to, move forward with somebody more experienced.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I was shocked, like, and getting an offer, and then now there's another company that's looking to like move me through as well.
Oh wow.
So I don't know yet how that's going to work out yet. I'm keeping my options open. I was like, hey, we'll see.
So, cool. Yeah, thanks for that. I pretty much agree. Basically, if I were to sum that up, just as long as you have execution and just find like a decent path. Like, luckily for me, like you picked my stuff, but you probably could have just went like all in Ovid stuff or Sandra or just made your own and executed it enough, and you'll like get something eventually.
I
Um,
think I think I can speak on that too because I did look at their stuff. I did look at, I was going to do WGU and I was going to do their master's program. For whatever reason, that door closed on me. So I was like, okay, well, that's not going to happen. I was going to try and do an accelerated thing. And then I looked at Sandra stuff and I looked at Abed stuff and I looked at MIT X or whatever they have available or, University of Maryland Global Campus and all these things.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, there's plenty of stuff out there to get online degrees and all that stuff. Um, but and most of the people that are in school and in the cyber range now will attest to this. Like they've been following you and your videos for a long time, and you're an extremely approachable guy. Um, and you're just like, yeah, I don't know, you're just like the guy next door. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
yeah,
thank you.
like you don't make a whole spectacle out of yourself being a YouTuber or an influencer, and you just do the work. I see how active you are on LinkedIn and on YouTube and putting stuff out there, and it's a variety of things. And I think it's contagious. Hard work is contagious, and when they see you become successful, and then they're like, "Oh, this guy knows what he's talking about, and he's telling me I can do this. All right, I'm gonna give it a shot." You know what I mean?
Well, shoot, I'm happy to hear that. Think.
Yeah, for sure. I think yeah, it's natural to you. I don't like. I know you're working hard, but I know you're not trying to be a person you're not. I guess I hope so. Otherwise, you're a hell of an actor. But I think people that's people's main thing. You're very genuine. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm just living my life, I guess. Just I don't know what else to do, to be honest, in this life.
Uh-huh.
So I just working nonstop until I get burnt out and then rest
Right.
and then do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bounce
Well,
around between Thailand and Japan, and you get to see the world a little bit.
yeah, exactly. I'm in the Seattle right now because I got
Right.
the
Right.
yeah, the school thing pretty
I
soon,
saw
but
that. Yeah.
yeah, I'll go
Yeah,
back to
man. I
that.
mean, like, listen, like I said it yesterday, proof's in the pudding, man. Like, you're number one in the tech on school in what 3 or 4 months, and another 3 or 4 months from now, you're gonna be sweating bullets because you're trying to figure out how to handle the influx of people. It's just gonna keep on going.
I hope so. I hope that happens. But
Yeah, yeah. You need to get some clone yourself so you can get back to people's DMs.
yeah, I know, right? Gosh. But yeah, this is like really, really good interview. It's definitely going to help a lot of people. So yeah, just watch this and watch it again, people who are watching. And thanks so much again for coming on here. I really appreciate it a lot. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I hope people take it to heart. I hope people sign up. There's some awesome people just in the community itself.
Mm.
And people way smarter than I am have way more insight. Like I might be good and a personable guy, and I like helping people out and telling them how it worked for me. But there's people in there that have so much knowledge and they know so much more than me. So I also am, always connecting with them and trying to figure out, how to take the next step. And it's just a good place to be. It gets a little bit of addictive. You always like on your phone, like see if somebody DM'd me, see if somebody liked my post. But it's a good platform, and I'm glad you chose it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was surprised that there's so many like industry professionals in the community. I was like, this is for people trying to break into cyber, but there's actually like people who
People
are
with
like,
CISSPs, I'm like, what are you doing here?
yeah, I'm honored for them to join, but I was just
Right.
surprised about it. Well, cool. Yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you in the community.
I'm there. I'll be there for a little bit longer. I feel like I'm happy to have the job, but I feel like I'm just starting here with my knowledge, and I know you have some other things planned, and I still have a couple of percents left in different classrooms that you have here. So, and I like talking to people. I like just shooting the shit a little bit, talking about resumes and just pumping people up. Just get it done, man. It works. So it worked for me. So let's do it.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. All right, see you later.
Peace.